Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Dr. Chingwe, and for today's episode on this channel, we're going to talk about, I'm going to share with you a story of an experience I had with a student while I was still teaching. I think this was probably my third or fourth year of teaching, and so I had a few behavior management techniques under my belt. I wouldn't call myself necessarily an expert, but at least I knew how to, maintain my cool, meet the child where they're at, realize that their brains are still developing, and respond to that. But one of the most powerful tools I found was the ability to pour love and concern and attention, all this positive energy into a child, especially when they had a reputation, shall we say, of not being very great students or a teacher's first choice of students they would like to have in their classroom. But it became quite apparent that some of them were living under circumstances they had no bearing or any power to change or anything to deal with. Some of them had backgrounds, had home environments that were not that suitable for learning, suitable for growing as a child. Someone that's under 16, it wasn't, and to no fault of theirs, they've come into a world, they've come into a home, into a family that they had no choosing of. And so one of the things that I know helped me a lot was entering into this space of empathy and love. And I know love sounds like this word that's tossed here and there. People use it for different contexts. Oh, I love pasta. Oh, I love my boyfriend. All those different things. It's, there's different aspects to love, as you may well know. And so what I then found as a very strong thing was being able to pour love, attention, concern, care genuinely into this child, not as I'm going to get back something from you later on, you're going to do XYZ for me. So just loving a human being, being empathetic, understand where they're coming from, realizing that if you were in their same shoes, in the same boat with them, you would probably behave the same way they were behaving. Some of the ways they were acting out had nothing to do with them deciding to misbehave per se. It was the background and how they've had to adjust and grow and manage themselves in this world. So there was this girl I think at that point she was in year 9, and she didn't have a great reputation. She was of Nigerian origin, and so there was a tendency, we're all human beings, birds of the same feather tend to flock together. So they knew I was or they suspected at least I was Nigerian. I don't think I ever admitted to them I was Nigerian. I would say things like, when they ask me, oh miss, are you Nigerian? I'll be like, oh, I'm African. Or if I'm not really in the mood, I'll be like, oh, I'm from this earth, I'm from earth. Without that, I'm not creating this, oh, this is we versus them, kind of thing. I didn't want that sort of cliquing around me at all. Even till now, I don't like it. And so I remember one day I was sat in my room. So I had this, I don't know what to call it, cheesy thing I used to do. So I prefer quiet when I'm working, and that if you're working in a school environment, asking for quiet is like asking for a gold coin from a fish, a big snout, essentially. So normally what I would do when I come into my classroom in the morning, before all the activities of the day start, I would not leave my lights in the classroom on. I'll turn it off. The door is unlocked, but I'll turn it off and I'll carry on, preparing for the day, doing whatever administrative task I wanted to do. And so on this morning, I was sat at my desk, typing away, getting whatever it is I was getting ready for the day or for the week, or planning, finalizing emails, whatever it was, lessons, getting stuff ready to print. And I heard this noise outside. And my rule of thumb at that point in the morning was that if it's not a blood-curdling scream, I wasn't going to come out of the room. Or if I didn't hear, as far as I didn't hear anybody shouting, oh, there is blood, or somebody's dying, or any of that, that was not happening. It was I just thought, okay, teenagers being teenagers, everybody will be fine. And then a few, maybe seconds or minutes later, I hear an adult's voice. I'm like, all right, that's good. And then it was somebody shouting, really raising their voice. I'm like, okay, so what's going on? But I had stuff to do. I'm like, okay, there's an adult there, that's fine, let's go. Carried on what I was doing, and then this said adult came into my classroom and it's like, oh, miss, could you help see what's happening outside? Of course, at this point, I could not ignore what was going on, and I went out to the corridor. And so I wanted to paint, imagine this scenario with me. There's this girl, okay, let's call her Aisha. That's not her name, I don't remember her name right now. Let's call her Aisha. And she was screaming at somebody else. And you know what teenagers are like. Once there's anybody screaming or anything, everybody gathers. It's like a call for a gladiator match type of thing. So kids were around, and Jocelyn trying to see what's going to happen. And I don't know if they were beginning to shout, fight at that point. But it was not a scene that you wanted to start your morning with, shall we say. And she was screaming and she was going, say it to my face. If you have the power, say it to my face. So apparently, as I think I found later, or at least what that scenario told me initially, was that someone had said something on social media. So you don't blame the government or people in the government saying this social media thing is becoming an epidemic in schools. Someone had said something to her on social media or commented or whatever it was, and she saw it and she came to school with that annoyance first thing in the morning and challenged this person that said that thing to her. And she wasn't having it. She was so livid. I don't know what it was said. I don't even think I ever asked. She was screaming. She wasn't listening to the adult teacher that was speaking to her. One of my colleagues, not listening at all. And to be honest, I wouldn't say I rehearsed what I did next. I don't think I did. I did not rehearse what I did next, because I don't come into school. No teacher comes into school planning to separate a fight before 8:30 in the morning, especially on the corridors where they were not meant to be at to start off with. And so I was like, I think I maybe observed for a couple of seconds or so to see what was going on. And then I sort of separated myself from the crowd, of people that were gathered and the teacher. And I looked at this child. And in the firmest, fairest, African mother-like is kind of tone, I said, Aisha, come with me now. And I was, standing away from them, not mixed up with them. I was standing away, and there was my face saying, the African mother face, saying, if you don't do what I've just said to you, you might not live to fight another day. Kind of face, I'm smiling now, but that was not the face I had then. I think I had to say it again because she was not hearing. She was so angry, so angry. So she was huffing and puffing eventually. So I moved away because as one of the things as a teacher you would sort of learn as a new teacher usually is when you give an instruction, you're not necessarily waiting for it to be obeyed. You don't give that sort of body language like I'm expecting you not to obey. Your body language, you say, oh, I'm expecting you to obey. So I'm going to move away because I'm expecting you to follow me. That was my instruction in this case, So I started to move away with like, I'm expecting you to come with me. She was not having it. So thankfully she came with me. And I pulled her away from that scene. Took her, I think I was needed to print. I sent some stuff to the printer. So I was going to the printer anyway, down along a different corridor. So the other adult teacher then sort of separated the other kids that were left, nobody to follow me and everything. So I walked away with her. And that, I had raised my voice, to a very high pitch that like, come with me now. So I brought it all the way down. And I go, what happened? So I just said, when you speak like that, I can't really hear you. I was like, do you need a few minutes? Yes, miss. Alright, let's go. Carried on walking, got to where the printer was. It's like, so my attitude was like, it's all good. Everybody's well. No one has died. Nobody's blood has been spilled yet. Just printing, finding what I needed to print. Is it the right one, not the right one? And I think it's at that sort of like, okay, are you ready to speak now? And then she goes, this said that explained what had happened. But all her energy had already risen. The bile was still there. She wasn't fit, to go back into circulation yet and all of that. So I think at that point people would have gone into their, I think maybe assembly or at least form rooms. So I take her away with me, and whatever happened next. And I think at some point I said, throughout the day, if you need respite, if you need to come away from something, come into my classroom and sit there. But I'm not having you getting into trouble because someone says something to you online that you don't like. But you're coming, if you need respite, anything, come into my classroom. So I give her that option, that just say you're going to Dr. Jacob's classroom, and that's fine. But that's aside, okay? That's the story, what happened. But if you go back to when I raised my voice at her and gave her that instruction to say, come with me now. Any other teacher that would have done that may not have had success in that child responding to her at that point because she was still ready. She was ready to fight. She was ready to fight that morning. And one of the things I know was I had over time, prior to that morning, made lots of what I tend to call deposits of love into this child. I knew where she was coming from, not to great detail, just overview. And I knew that if left to her own devices, if left to just her home environment, she might never get to enjoy that genuine care and attention she should be getting as a growing teenager, as a 13, 14, 15-year-old. So I would maybe compliment her, or I would tell her how good she is at something. I would encourage her. I would ask questions about what's going on outside of school, who are friends, just make sure that this person Aisha felt loved, felt seen, felt like she was part of something, that all that mattered to her teachers and the adults in school was not just her getting to behave. She was a human being that deserved love, deserved attention, deserved care, and all of that. I don't think I taught her. I don't think so. But she knew that she had a listening ear if she ever came to me. And don't get me wrong, I didn't arrive at that point on day one of teaching. It was something I had to learn. And I think that's such a crucial part of being in a school environment, especially in environments where there's probably high deprivation, which was like the school where I was in. Where there's a lot of disadvantage. There are students on free school meals, students with special educational needs. I think it's very important that as teachers and as educators, we empathize with the students we work with. I think it is important that we show them a kind of care and attention that is not based on their behaving for us. So for what I mean by that is a child might not listen to Mr. X, but will listen to you, and so you use that as leverage for something. No, that's not where it starts from. It starts from, this is a human being. This is somebody created in God's image. This is a person that is deserving of love and care. And how can I be an adult that understands that this person deserves all the love and care and attention that they need to grow to become thriving adults, and great successes in life, irrespective of the background they come in. In some schools and with some students, the school is their safest place every day. The school is literally their safest place because there's organization, there is control, there is their boundaries, which is a very important part of a child growing up, that there are boundaries, that they know they can't cross certain lines or there will be consequences. And it doesn't mean then that we excuse bad behavior. It's that we're calling out the greatness inside the child and saying, I know you have X, Y, and Z happening around you that are not great. However, I know, particularly with myself as a Christian, that you are created in the image of God and you have something good inside of you, and that's the good I'm looking for. You might have very difficult background, difficult circumstances, but I know that it's good in you, and that's the good I'm speaking to. I know that you are more than this, and I'm not accepting anything less. And if you do decide to behave any less, then you would get the consequences. Not because I love you less, but because I know that if you carry on along this trajectory of life, you're going to end up in a place you never envisaged coming. And so that became the way I carried myself with these students. So I'll say most of the schools, all of the schools I worked with, or all of the schools I spent the most of my teaching career in, were in schools with high levels of deprivation. And it came to a point where I remember my line manager, at the end of the day, I was standing next to her and she goes, why do all these naughty kids behave for you? And my answer to her was, I have no idea. I genuinely did not know why they did, why they would listen to me and not somebody else. But yes, literally, it became a point where a particular student that was naughty might be going around with trouncing lessons. I may not speak to everybody in the group that they might be trouncing with. I might just speak to her and say, John, come with me. Where should you be? Oh, miss, I don't want to go into my lesson. I don't like Mr. X is blah, blah, blah. You're more than that. Come with me. Like this, that would literally be my tone. I'm not accepting that from you. You're very brilliant. I'm not going to watch you throw yourself away. Okay? Oh, I don't like it. It's too early for maths. Don't worry. I'll speak to him at the end of the day. Okay? Come with me. Let's go. So I had that multiple times, and I feel like it's this empathetic, love-based calling out the greatness in the child that's helped me, to make whatever little difference I made in the time I was a teacher. So I'll share that story with you. What do you think? How can you love people even without tolerating their behavior? How can you say, particularly with young children, that are still forming their identity, still growing, still experiencing things, or still being in environments that they have not chosen, but that they happen to be in? Let me know what you think in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Remember to like, to share, to subscribe, and enjoy the rest of whatever it is you're up to today. Take care. Bye.